I was pretty mad, pretty upset, to know that we were probably cheated out of a possibility of, making it to the World Series, because as a kid, that's, forget us the individual awards, forget how many games you win, how many homers you hit. It's about, winning a World Series, winning a World Series with your team and fighting till the very end, the blood, sweat, and tears you put into the game, to be that last team that's standing, and to hear that you got cheated out of that opportunity, that's tough to kind of, let go.
Whoa, remember that? Remember that, Houston? That was Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees crawling out of his swamp. Shrek had a lot of things to say about the Astros, Altuve, the sign-stealing scandal, what have you. Had a lot to say. Had a lot of strong words from that ogre following the sign-stealing scandal. And if you haven't heard, earlier today, the infamous letter, it was opened, it was unsealed. This letter was written by Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred to the New York Yankees following an investigation of their own sign stealing, them and the Red Sox. Hell, you might not have heard about this yet because the national media is not doing a very good job at covering it. Many want you to believe that this letter that was unsealed today didn't contain much, didn't contain really anything, doesn't really matter. Let me just say that is wrong. I am not saying that the letter that was unsealed today is revolutionary, that it is groundbreaking, earth-shattering. I am not saying that. What I am saying is this letter is much more than nothing. Did it confirm what Commissioner Rob Manfred said in a statement in 2017? Yes, but it also said more. Rob Manfred's statement in 2017 about the Yankees and sign stealing claimed that they found the Yankees were using a dugout phone improperly. It did not, however, mention in the statement any use of the replay room. We learned that today through the letter. So technology was being used by the New York Yankees along with the Red Sox. Yes. In the 2015-2016 season, the Yankees used the video replay room to steal signs. In the narrative that seems to be being painted right now that this letter is unsealed and being severely downplayed, the narrative being painted is all this focus on the 2017 deadline Commissioner Rob Manfred put in place. The deadline that supposedly every team in Major League Baseball stopped cheating at except for the Astros. And that is why they were vilified. That is why they became the scapegoat of this league-wide problem that has been going on in the sport of baseball for the better part of 3 to 4 decades. That is what they want the focus on. It was that 2017 date. The Astros kept doing it. There is a major flaw with this argument, with this narrative. A major flaw. And that is the fact that the slimy commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, his notice of that deadline, his notice to all teams to stop whatever sign-stealing schemes they were running, that notice was only sent to higher-ups of these organizations. The players did not know. This was not a memo sent to Major League Baseball players. It was sent to executives. And yet the Astros players are the ones who have suffered the greatest of all. And yet it is the Yankees players and the Dodgers players and others sounding off so aggressively and so passionately about a problem they were taking part in no matter when on the timeline. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a bunch of BS. And by the way, what did the Yankees get for using that replay monitor, using the replay room, coordinating via dugout phones? What did they get? A $100,000 fine. $100K! That ain't nothing for crybaby Cashman and the New York Yankees. It's not even a fraction of what CC Sabathia was making in the year they cheated. The Astros, on the other hand, who I'm supposed to believe were the only team still doing some sort of sign stealing after the 2017 deadline was in place, the Astros punishment, the maximum allowed $5 million, and forfeited their first and second round picks in the 2020 and 2021 draft. That is the real problem here. But to act like this letter is nothing, it's what many in the national media want you to believe. And that will be the narrative. But what's new? The Astros will remain the scapegoats of this problem. But this letter was more than nothing. This letter detailed us on things Rob Manfred left out of that statement in 2017 when he addressed the sign stealing with the Yankees and Red Sox. You think that was on accident? Do we really believe that the New York Yankees fought tooth and nail for years to keep this letter sealed because it was just nothing? They just didn't care? That's why they wanted this sealed up so bad? Manfred left out the use of the replay room in his statement, and yet put it in the letter sent directly to the Yankees. You think that was on accident? Think that was a mistake? You think only finding the New York Yankees, the pinstripes, the darlings of Major League Baseball, 100K, and yet slamming down on the Astros? Think that was just all coincidence? Manfred slimy, and he was looking out for his darling New York Yankees. And Yankees fans are the best, because at this point, it just seems that certain cheating is acceptable up in New York. Alex Rodriguez pumps his body full of steroids and wins him a World Series. Oh, that's cool. No problems here. Yankees use a replay room and dugout phone to steal signs. No big deal. No big deal. Acceptable. You bring a trash can in the mix. Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, and many others get all in their feelings and want to sound off. By the way, Houston, when the Yankees were using this system, when they were cheating in the 2015-2016 season, still couldn't help them get past the Astros. Astros knocked their asses out of the playoffs that year in the wild card round. I just find it interesting. But above all things that this letter that was unsealed today shows, above all, this letter most glaringly displays an absolutely turdish hypocrisy of the Yankees organization, its players, and I'll say most of the fans. I don't like to group that large amount of people into one. But I mean, we just saw this last week, the fans at Yankee Stadium throwing trash out on the field at Miles Straw and other players of the opposition. We see videos often online, don't we? At Yankee Stadium, as opposing fans are at a urinal getting pelted by beer cans and trash. It's a classy fan base, I gotta say, from all accounts, from everything we've seen. And just a few short weeks ago, General Manager of the Yankees, Brian Cashman, whining and crying about the only reason the Yankees haven't found success was because of the cheating scandal with the Astros in 2017. I mean, that is weak, fella. That is weak. So don't let anyone tell you this letter doesn't mean anything, because it absolutely does. At worst, the lack of coverage and the false narrative of it meaning nothing tells us what we've already known. And that is that the Houston Astros were made the scapegoat of a league-wide problem that went on for years. And it appears they will continue to be. Whew. I cannot wait for this Astros-Yankees matchup later on this season. If it's in New York, and I believe it's going to be, just be careful if you're up there, Astros fans, because we know how that fan base treats visitors of the opposition at their stadium. Be careful out there.